season! My name is Caitlin, and if this is your first video, welcome, and if not, welcome back. Today we're making a white pumpkin cake, and it looks like pumpkin and tastes like a pumpkin, and it's so easy. So if you are as excited about this as I am, please subscribe to my channel because I have a lot more spooky treats planned for this Halloween season. So let's get started! The ingredients you will need for the pumpkin cake are 2 cups of canola oil, 6 large eggs, 6 cups of flour, 4 teaspoons of baking soda, 3 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1½ teaspoons of nutmeg, 1 teaspoon of salt, ½ teaspoon of cloves, 2 cans of pumpkin, 2 cups of brown sugar, and 2 cups of white sugar. So the first thing we're going to want to do is put 6 cups of flour into our mixing bowl. I'm not using a stand mixer because I don't think this is big enough, at least my stand mixer is not big enough, for everything we're doing today. Since we're doubling the recipe, I think it's going to overwhelm the stand mixer. So let's start with 6 cups of flour. Put that into the bowl. There we go, 6 cups of flour in the bowl. And now we are going to do 2 cups of sugar. This is 2 cups of white sugar. We are also adding 2 cups of brown sugar, but not yet. There we go. Alright, I'm also going to add my spices. So I've got cloves, and nutmeg, and salt, baking soda, and cinnamon. Add all of that together and we are going to whisk it up just so everything's kind of more even. Especially if you're working with this much, you're going to want to make sure everything gets mixed together as best as possible. Normally what I would say is you can do it even in 2 batches. That if you don't have a bowl this big, or if you feel more comfortable getting things more evenly dispersed, you could do it in 2 batches. There we go. Alright. And now it's time to add all of our wet ingredients. So the eggs, the oil, the brown sugar, and I know brown sugar is not a wet ingredient, but we're going to put it in there at that time too. And the pumpkin. Okay, so our next step is adding the eggs. And add all 6 eggs, and all the oil, which is 2 cups of canola, and all of the brown sugar. And that just made a mess. We're going to start mixing all of that up, and then when that's starting to look kind of chunky, we will put all of the pumpkin in there. Alright, time to add the pumpkin. This is 2 cans, so 2 15-ounce cans of pumpkin. And now you have to just really give it some good stirs and get everything mixed together. And it's going to take some elbow grease. Make sure you're really reaching to the bottom of that dish. Oh, God. All right, so we have our batter. It's a pretty good consistency. There's maybe a few chunks in there, but when you're working with this much batter, you can expect 1 or 2. But you want to work out as many of the lumps of it as you can. Give it a couple more turns, and scrape the edges of the bowl, make sure everything's good. Alright, so now that our batter is good, it's time to get our greased and floured bundt cake pans. As you can see, I have two slightly different ones. This one was my grandmother's, and for nostalgia's sake, I just have to use it. This is what I picked up earlier today. So, we're going to want to use approximately half of the batter in each pan, and just kind of, I would say eyeball it. Most people who are professionals would probably say use a scale and measure it out. Then make sure you put equal parts. But if you kind of measure in to the pan and you mark out kind of a line in there with your eyeballs, or even with your finger, because in the flour you can kind of put a little line. So let's just say we've done that and put a little line in there with our finger. We can measure and fill up that line, and when we've done that on both sides, we can kind of see how they're looking if you're not so good at eyeballing. So I'm going to go put everything into the pan right now. You can also kind of use measuring cups too. Just think about that. If you are not great with eyeballing and are worried about overfilling things, you could do like a cup into one, a cup into the next one, a cup into this one, a cup into that one, you know, back and forth till you've filled them up. But I prefer to eyeball. Start with that. Let's see where we're going. Now I'm just smoothing them down a little bit now. Should be pretty darn close. Let's see here. Smooth them down, and then you're going to want to tap them once you got them smooth. So, let's see, one second. There we go. That's pretty good, actually. So then you're going to want to kind of tap them on the counter like that. Because with the shape of the pan and the ridges, you want to make sure everything is fully into all of those ridges. Alright, so it's in the pans, and it's going to go into a 350-degree oven for about an hour. At least I'm going to check it an hour and we'll see. So the cakes are out and they are cool, and it is time to make our cream cheese icing. So what I have in front of me is 2 sticks of butter, 2 sticks of cream cheese, and 4 teaspoons of vanilla, and 8 cups of powdered sugar. So what I'm going to do first is, into my mixer, I'm going to put my sticks of butter. They are softened, very soft, as well as my cream cheese, and they're soft as well. Alright, and then my vanilla. And we're going to start to mix all of that together, and then we will add that little bit by little bit. Let's get this going here. I'm going to start it on low, just to kind of get it all mixed up and get it going. And as it starts to become incorporated, all mixed together, then you can start adding in your powdered sugar. Only like half a cup at a time though, because we don't want it to go everywhere. So it's going to take me a long time to do this, but I'm going to speed this up for you so you can watch it in like, 30 seconds. Alright, so now I have my cream cheese frosting done, and behind me I have my 2 cakes, which should be almost cooled. So let me go grab them, and we can start the frosting process. Alright, so I have my first bundt cake in front of me, and I cut the top off of it so it, because when it rises, it kind of forms a dome on the top. This is my other one. And so I cut off that domed top so it would be nice and flat and it would be able to balance better. So we're going to start by putting cream cheese frosting all over the top of this. And this just creates a nice hold between the two, so that way it doesn't go flying off everywhere. You don't want to use too much frosting, otherwise it's going to, slip and slide. you want to use enough that it creates that nice hole. Put our other one on top. There we go. Alright, so step one. Step one is done. Now, I'm just gonna ice the whole rest of the thing, and I will see you back here when I'm done. So I am most of the way done icing the cake, but I wanted to stop here and show you guys the next few parts. So what I have is the same butt pan that I baked in earlier, and I've got some little Rice Krispie treats. And we're trying to create something that will fill this center so we can put a little stem on there. So what I came up with was putting a whole bunch of Rice Krispie treats down there, but you have to form them into like something that will fit into that little hole. So if you take 5 of these and you fill the inside cavity of this, it fits pretty nicely into there. So that is what we're going to do. Now these are softened at room temperature, nothing crazy, and you just cram them all and mold them all into that hole. Kind of like the reverse of a cookie cutter. You can see it starting to take shape in there. There we go, something that will sit in there and stop us having to fill this entire center with frosting. So now we have that. This, you guys have a full-on view of that. I also have some green fondant here, and we're going to form the stem. This is super easy. Alright, so I have my fondant, and it's already pretty soft. So I would do this the night before. And you work between your hands, and you're just going to create what seems to be a good stem. So I've got, you want something that's a little fatter at the base here and a little bit more narrow at the top, kind of like if it was growing out of a real pumpkin. So that's what I'm going to form in my hands. Just kind of smooth it out a little bit. It's very forgiving. I'll give it a little indentation on the top if you want, make it a little, you know, it doesn't have to look perfect. Most pumpkins, if you've ever been to a pumpkin patch, most pumpkins do not look perfect. So there's a good start for that. Now you're going to take your dowel rod or your toothpick, or your longer toothpick, and stick it into this, your Krispy Kreme base, or Rice Krispie treat base. And then you're going to want to put this on top. There we go. So that way when you put it in there, it will sit right down in, and you can put the frosting around it. But first, let's give it some decorations. So I'm just going to use the back of this to kind of create some indentations in there. Kind of like a real pumpkin would have, like, you know, things in nature aren't normally smooth. So if you create kind of some divots like that, it gives it more character. I'm going to do that, give it a little indentation at the top here. There we go. Alright, and I'm just going to use a little bit of the food coloring. This is the brown food coloring by Wilton. I'm going to use some of that, just a tiny little bit on the end of the paintbrush. And of course this paintbrush has not been used on actual paint, it only has been used for this. And you're just going to kind of feather it lightly. So what we're doing is this. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a dirt effect. A little darker towards those little divots. Okay, so after we have made our Rice Krispie treats for in the center, we're going to pop those in. Just push them down there so they're kind of flat with the top. And this is, all I've done with the cake at this point is just ice it around. It's not a very thick layer of icing because we're going to use fondant and put it over the top there. So this is just to kind of hold things in place. And I'm going to put some powdered sugar down because when we roll it out we don't want it to stick to the counter at all. So I'm just going to dump some powdered sugar on the counter. This is the same as if you roll pasta dough. So normally you put flour dough on the counter and then roll things out so it doesn't stick, and this one you're just using powdered sugar. So I'm going to kind of speed this process up because it's going to take a little bit for me to pound this out and get it rolled nice and flat. But at the end, I'll show you a step. pin. We're just gonna drape it over the cake as gently as possible. All right. At this point, we can kind of just smooth it down. Move it over just a little bit. There we go. All right. Now you've got your cake kind of blanketed. Now we can take and cut off little pieces that are extra and then form it right down to the cake. So I'm gonna do that and then I'll be right back again. So once you have your cake draped in fondant and you have most of the little lines buffed out with water, next up is to put our little skewer that we've measured into the Rice Krispies treat portion, the center portion of our cake. And once we have that there, as you can see that I do, we can put our little topper on. There we go. There we go. Ta-da! All right. Make sure he looks good. Make sure he's not, nothing's happened to him. All right. There we go. So we have our little stem on our cake now, so we start to look a little bit more like a pumpkin. And if you have any lines, you can decide at this point like how you like to decorate. Alright, so I've cleaned up the kitchen a little bit and I'm going to set it up this way so you can see. So I've got my bag of icing and it doesn't even have a tip on it, I cut off the end of the bag. It's a regular gallon Ziploc bag, so you can do this at home. So I'm going to start by just piping little dollops around the bottom. So I'm just going to go in and use my bag and squirt a little bit of the icing. And you just press and you release. And you press in and you release. And as you release and pull back, you stop squeezing the bag of icing. So you're just creating the little like kind of a pearl border. And this is just the leftover icing that I had from when I iced the cake, and I just dyed it orange. So it's still cream cheese icing. I find it's a little bit more difficult to work with than buttercream, but I think it tastes better, so I'm gonna go and use that. I mean, you could use buttercream if you really want. All right, cake is done and we are ready for our party. I hope you enjoyed the video I made today, and I hope you guys make the cake yourselves. And if you do, please tell me all about it and comment and send me pictures because I'd love to see. Also, if you like what I did today, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Bye!